Hey there, Hofstra fans, and welcome inside the WB Mason Coaches Report. Matt Durant joined by the head coach of the Hofstra Pride softball team, Larissa Anderson. Coach, you get set for your first home games this weekend, doubleheaders against St. John's and UConn. Just what's the preparation for this past week since there were no games, now this whole full week up until your home opener?
We had our pitchers throw a lot of live situations. We're going to be able to get out on our field all week, which we're really excited for. Kind of ironing out some details, putting our pitchers in some more pressure situations so that they're able to compete and we're able to put a better showing on the field.
We saw a lot of inconsistency. We talked about it from the pitchers. We talked about this last week. Just now that you're looking at the home opener, what's your confidence level with both your pitchers?
It's getting them in a routine, and I'm very confident with their potential and their upside potential that they have. It's putting them in these situations and getting the most out of it, and their mental preparation is really what we've been focusing on. Physically, they have all the ability in the world, and they're just not reaching that potential yet because their mental aspect isn't where it needs to be. They have to be able to make adjustments pitch by pitch to be able to attack batters. 4-pitch walks are driving me absolutely crazy, and that's just the mental aspect in being able to compete and make that adjustment after they have thrown one ball and be able to work that count back in.
Last season we saw a lot of shuffling with the bottom 3 or 4 of the lineup. Do you expect a lot of that shuffling right now, or are you confident in the starting 9 with the way they have been the last couple of weeks?
We got to get on a roll. So people are going to be moving all over the place to find out what works best and the chemistry that the team needs and who's producing. What's great is that we have so much depth that I can pull people out of the dugout and put them in the lineup to be able to have the best matchup that we have at that given time with the field conditions. Is it a hard playing surface or a soft playing surface? I can put in some slappers if I need to. So I think throughout the entire year there will be a little bit of shuffling because we're about 12, 13 people depth that we can get into the lineup.
Do you see this lineup, now that you've seen them a handful of weeks, leading up to this week, do you see them being the big ball team or the small ball team? Are you looking for the power, or do you think you will have to swap to that small ball game occasionally?
I think we'll be gap-to-gap power. Occasionally we'll hit some home runs. I expect, once we get back here and we get in a good routine, I think our experienced hitters will get on a little bit better roll, seeing live pitching more often. It's really tough to go entire week and then cram in 5 games in 3 days where you're not seeing that live pitching consistently. Once we start playing midweek games and more consistent every weekend, I expect our hitters to just get a little bit more comfortable. We got to get Chloe Fitzgerald going. That's probably the key in our lineup. We got to get her on base to be able to put the pressure on the defense, and that really sets it up for the middle of our lineup.
Last season, defense was a big part of your game. Seemed to be everybody was just running on all cylinders in the field. What have you seen from just the defensive standpoint so far this season?
We're really not playing very well. We're making some key errors in some situations, and that's not very characteristic of the Hofstra team. And a lot has to do with our inconsistency with practice. And getting on dirt this week, I think will help a lot. Getting them comfortable and being able to see a live ball outside, it'll make a big difference. So I just expect us to get more solid defensively. And just that consistency that we always have.
Since you came back from Florida, about 14 days between that game and now your home opener, how big are those 14 days to actually work on all the things you've seen?
The biggest thing was rest. The 2 weeks of travel that we had, we got back here very late, and it's a continuous grind, having a couple days of classes and then get back on a plane. I gave them a couple of days off so then they can let their bodies rest, spend some time in the training room and with our strength coach, and then we got back to work. But it was great because then we can really fine-tune some things and not feel the pressure that we have to go out and play another game. So it's really getting those 15 games under our belt, be able to solidify a couple things, fine-tune some more, and then get us back going when we come back home.
Last year you got the freshmen integrated very quickly. You expected big things from them. They panned out at different times. What do you see from the newcomers to the team so far, approaching their first home opener at Bill Edwards?
It's the experience. It's understanding and watching. Even though they didn't get a lot of game time experience, it's being able to understand the level of play that is expected of them. Madison Grimm, she's growing up very fast, and it's just continue to put her in successful situations so she can build some confidence. But I expect great things out of all of our young players.
How much are you going to lean on the upperclassmen to integrate those younger players quickly?
Oh, it's huge. It's the mentoring that they are instilling and the leadership and setting that standard so then it continues to grow year after year, and that's why Hofstra teams really never have a down year because that leadership continues to flow into our younger players.
There's been a lot of success on campus the last 6 months. Do you feel any of that pressure to sort of uphold the standard of Hofstra athletics at this point?
Our team always has pressure. It's that standard that's why players come here. Softball players come to Hofstra to win championships, and it's great that other programs are winning, and we're so excited for all the other sports programs, and it just makes our entire athletic department better.
You look at the weekend ahead now, St. John's and UConn. What's your overall scout on those two teams trying to come away with a successful 4 games?
We don't look at our opponent. We look at our own program and what does Hofstra softball need to do in order to be successful. And that's playing great defense. We got to keep the ball in the ballpark always, and we got to control the strike zone. So it doesn't matter if we're playing UConn, St. John's, or the University of Florida. We have to do those things well in order to put ourselves in the best possible situation to be successful.
All these Florida games leading up, do you look at them sort of like a preseason, because now you do get that long break in between and you get to sort of set everything as a standard before the rest of your schedule kicks in?
No, because every game matters. We're always playing to get the best RPI. We got to go out and try to win every game. It's not a preseason like it is in baseball. It's not a spring training. It's we got to go out. We got to put ourselves in the best possible situation to win as many games as we can, and go out and play the best level that we can play to prepare us for conference play. But now, if being the Colonial is a 2 or 3 bid conference, that we have to put ourselves in the best situation. So hypothetically, if we do not win the conference tournament, we have the chance for an at-large bid.
What have you seen from the rest of the conference up to this point?
They're playing great. I mean, it's awesome because it just makes our conference better. It makes our team better knowing that we have to play at a higher level. I'm very impressed, and it's awesome to see that every team is really competitive and winning. JMU's on an awesome roll. I'm so excited for them, and they deserve it. And I just hope that they continue to grow it, which is just going to make our conference better.
With such a competitive conference at the moment, like you just said, everybody's playing so well. What do you think is if you had to boil it down to one goal for this team, how do you think you come out on top of a conference that's so competitive?
We got to keep the ball in the ballpark. Our pitchers we can't give up free bases. If we give up free bases, it puts a lot of pressure on our defense, which is why our defense isn't as strong as it usually is, because we're giving too many free bases. We got to cut down our walks. We have to cut down our errors. So we're not putting all that pressure on our defense to be able to always play with runners on base. That's going to be the key. Less free bases, now we're going to be giving ourselves a better chance to be successful.
Hofstra Pride softball team's home opener this weekend against St. John's and University of Connecticut. Matt Durant and Larissa Anderson will be back here next Monday on the WB Mason Coaches Report.